Hello and welcome back to the Power 10. Now this is going to be a rifle edition of the Power 10 because there's only been one minor change to the team, so there's not really a point breaking everything down point by point as we did last week. So the quick little change: Spirit, with their win in Astana, take a leap above MOUZ. Only one spot, a swap within the top four, but one that could prove a bit controversial depending on how things match up in the coming events. I mean, MOUZ do have a chance to kind of fight for that place here in Dallas, but given the field, I think that'll be kind of rough. We'll see what happens in Austin. That'll be the real interesting point for those two teams, see who actually deserves to be top four. Now, with that being said, let's get into this week's Power 10. This is the Rifler edition. At number 10, we have a rookie player coming in. PR has been absolutely cracked this year. Watching his POV especially has been, well, something of magical beauty. I don't want to oversell it, obviously, but I watched him as a MOUZ NXT player, as a young guy coming through, and I saw great crosshair placement, these nice little adjustments, these headshots, and I thought it was all very pretty, but could he do it on LAN? And well, he has. He's been outstanding. He's been very well used by Ash in the system. He's not quite a full-on star, and he's not quite a full-on support player, but he has little moments where he's allowed to shine, little moments where he has to play supportive, and yet still gets his numbers in both contexts, no matter what he's doing. The big conversation for this spot is, would you give it to Rez instead? And I'm thinking maybe there's a chance eventually Rez might overtake him. Rez has better roles and tends to shine a bit more in these roles. But in the big games, Rez has been a bit missing. He's not been that great. He's been solid, and he's had some really insane group stage matches, but in the big playoff matches, he has faded a little more than PR has. Game Legion as a whole have sort of faded in those playoff games, but Rez a little more so than PR, so that's really what edges him. We got a couple of amazing stats from him. Honestly, Anchor on Ancient, he's a 1.74 rated. Full buy versus full buy, absolutely absurd. And for the year, he's at 18% multi-kill rate. Absolutely elite stuff, despite not having all the best spots. I'm loving what I'm seeing from PR. At number 9, we have Grim, who is finally free of a liege again and back to his former self. He's an absolute monster when he's not being weighed down by a liege. I don't know what it is about the two of them. They just can't coexist on the same team. I think it's really, they want the same spots, and neither one can play truly effective CS in the supportive sort of side of the game. So they both need that star position. Grim has been amazing on complexity. You'll see him on this list. You won't see a liege. That's pretty insane. We thought this complexity roster was absolutely screwed when they lost the Liege, when they started making those changes. It looked kind of dead, but Grim has dragged them out of the water, done CPR, and revived this roster. In 2025, at big events, he's got a 1.17 rating versus the top 20, which is pretty impressive, and a 0.76 KPR in playoffs. That's elite fragging from a rifler who's on a team that is far from it. He's dragging them through this, he's keeping them alive, with a bit of help from Hallzerk here and there, but realistically, their rifle firepower comes down to one man, and one man only, and he looks a bit like a minion. And number 8 is, well, he's a player I love to critique, love to hate, but also kind of have to reluctantly admit is playing very well this year. That's Frozen. As always, he gets his numbers. They're decent, not insane numbers, but he gets them no matter what, and that's really what impresses me time and time again. Like, I really can't fault it, but I just can't quite love it. There's an aspect to his game that I don't really appreciate. He's a really strong trade player. He can play fairly well in the clutch, make smart decisions surrounding his own life especially, but sometimes I feel like he's a little too risk averse. I need some more risk tolerance in my star rifle. I need him to make the push, make the play, get the extra frag, try and go for more rounds. Sometimes it feels like he's not trying enough. But hey, there's space for him to do that on this team. He doesn't need to be super aggressive, and he keeps delivering. He's not the reason FaZe have struggled at recent events, and maybe with Simple coming in, and Simple's obviously not a guy who's scared to repeat, not a guy who's scared to go make that extra play, and he's certainly able to do it. Maybe that'll unlock their full potential, and they can coexist as superstars on this roster as they climb. For now, number 8, I think is fair. I think it's generous considering how FaZe have played in terms of their results, and, as well, his individual level. This is about right for me. At number 7, and hampered by the fact that his team is so good that it almost doesn't matter how well he plays. They've won events with him at 1.04 rating. They've won events with him at a 1.12, 1.15. It doesn't seem to really matter exactly how well he plays. The team finds ways to win. That's FlameZ. Now, he is the most aggressive piece of the Vitality machine. Now, sure, Apex does like to come along with him for those sorts of excursions, for those opening attempts to be traded sometimes. But realistically, FlameZ is the aggressive star, takes a lot of openings, takes a lot of entry paths as well. He does a lot of very impactful things for this roster. The most impressive detail is currently really he's the best outer yard player on train, whether it be fighting towards A main or especially fighting in pop. I think he's an absurd, like 2 point something KD just in pop this year, full buy v full buy. He's been ridiculous as a rifler on train, and long may it continue, because if Vitality have train as a map where they unlock another superstar, it's not good enough that Rops is actually really good on the map, and ZywOo can roam and do whatever he wants. If they also have FlameZ just dominating. They don't even need to be the most comfortable team, the team that calls the most innovative stuff. They're going to keep winning it time and time again and have it as an ace, you know, just in their back pocket, ready to pull out and cheekily steal a win. So that's what FlameZ brings to the table, as well as, of course, that 30% deaths traded. He's still an entry player, despite being also a star. Does it all for the team. At number 7, I think it's about fair. 6 may be controversial, and I expect some pushback on this. But I have Staehr. He's low-key the best rifler not playing on a contender. It's crazy. He is not really a star in terms of the way he's set up, in terms of literally his roles on the team. They're not star roles. He's an anchor, he's a hard entry, but then playoff star. And all of a sudden, everyone else in Australia maybe he's a little too timid, maybe doesn't feel confident, maybe doesn't want to hit the shot or take the risk that they're going to miss the shot. Staehr doesn't care. He goes for it, and he hits the shot more times than most. Under HooXi, something I've noticed is that already he's going from hard entry to hard trading now on the T side, especially in those pack sort of moments. HooXi's a kind of IGL who's just going to go die for you, and you can trade him. Staehr already delivering on that. I think it's trading. Like, if you look at the profiling stats HLTV provides, he went from being like 70-something on entrying to 70-something on trading. Like, he's switched those two around since HooXi's come in, and that's going to unleash him on the T side. CT side, he's still hard anchoring, still going to have to figure things out in terms of finding a way to find his impact. But in playoffs, time and time again this year, he's managed it. And that's while playing teams within the like sort of 5 to 8 range. He's not farming weak outside the top 10 teams at PGL events. He's at PGL events, but he's facing the best teams those events have to offer typically, and he's still giving you his numbers. Absolutely loving everything from Staehr. He's a role player, yet he's putting up these numbers. Deserves all the credit in the world. At number 5 is the best of the MOUZ, Hive Mind. xertioN is the player who gets the most impactful kills time and time again. And when the season starts, when we see the Spinks move, we start to believe maybe Spinks will be the best rifler on this team. He comes in, he has an absolutely outstanding event. I think trading, closing, all that sort of stuff, absolutely outstanding. His aim had never looked better than when he just joined MOUZ. But that faded. That luster, that Spinks allure, that thing that makes you believe he can carry a team, the thing that made us believe he was going to carry vitality on the rifle front and bring them to the top, kind of faded away. Wasn't quite there at the end of it. You know who was? xertioN. Time and time again. Finding the openings, finding the entry path, creating space, making multi-kills happen, doing everything this team needs to have a chance in matches. xertioN has been doing it. Either gets an opening kill or has his opening death traded in over 21% of their T rounds this year, which is actually pretty impressive considering he is taking a lot of hard paths and taking some really unfavorable fights. He's got a 1.08 playoff rating too, which for this team is really solid considering their playoff numbers dip quite a lot because they tend to face really tough teams and quite often lose long series full of tough, scrappy maps where no one really shines. They're a team who's difficult to assess based off just purely their stats. They tend to win close, lose big. So overall, I think xertioN deserves to be up here just because of what he's been able to bring to this MOUZ side, who realistically don't have that much impactful rifle depth. He's the most aggressive by far. No one else even comes close. He's got a lot on his shoulders, but he's still carrying it. Speaking of carrying the load, XANTARES at number 4 feels about right. He's opening, trading, multi-killing, dominating, doing everything XANTARES is expecting to do. And he's coming out of that sort of slump. We saw a couple of events where he was really weak, really suffering with that physical ailment, that sickness. What exactly it was, we're not sure, but he was apparently taking a bunch of painkillers, trying to get through it. He seems through the worst of it, at least in terms of what he's showing us on the server, because oh my word, have we seen some returns to peak XANTARES recently. Without him playing this level, Aurora are just doomed to fail time and time again, and now it's true, they still managed to fail time and time again in the playoffs, but at least there's that one guy bringing them within arm's reach of other teams. That's XANTARES. The game plan may not be complex enough, they may be lacking certain strategical ideas, yada yada yada. They will always have a firepower chance with XANTARES on the server with. He's been slightly weaker of late, but at number 3, NiKo is still NiKo. The only thing stopping him is himself. Realistically, there's something we've known for a while in terms of NiKo's level basically is whatever NiKo chooses to do. He's able to work the map in ways most other start entries and opening players really can't. He does control the tempo so much better. He's got this sort of cerebral approach to the way he's going to take map control and various timings and still at the end of the day rip your head off. NiKo has been outstanding in buy rounds, especially this year. If you look at the buy numbers, he's got like an 87 ADR, 1.15 rating. Like, it's really strong, really consistent, and delivering in a way that a lot of other players just can't really do. Sure, a lot of the riflers below him are good in those 4x4 4x scenarios. But realistically, they do like a little bit of padding from the 4x4 half buys. NiKo doesn't need it. NiKo really doesn't need it. He's that strong all around. His aim still pretty clean, still pretty sharp. He doesn't play with any great rush. He's just playing at his own rate. m0NESY is undoubtedly the superstar of Falcons. He's been putting up bonkers numbers since joining this team. But without NiKo playing the way he's playing, this team is just 2014 Titan transported into 2025 with a slightly different looking AWPer. Like, this is the same kind of roster where a lot of the players are really just decent role players. Like TeSeS at his peak can look like 2014 Apex, but without NiKo coming in to provide that balance, provide that sort of cultured rifling that he does, this team would be incredibly short on firepower and not really able to reach the grand finals they have. Yeah, the master of the micro is something special to witness, isn't he? He just, every little detail he seems to just nail. And it took him one event to basically integrate fully into Vitality, and that then unleashed a monster that it kind of seems Spinks was keeping asleep. Like, we kind of had to thank him for that, because 5 events straight since he managed to figure out his roles, figure out how to play with this team, and he's been insane. I don't think we've seen as effective of a hard lurk. Like, he just lurks. That's what he does. We haven't seen that effective of a hard lurk since probably Get Right, and that's saying, well, not too much, because the lurker kind of died as a meta point, but there was a reason for that. No one was able to be this effective whilst playing hard lurks. Robs has been special. I think this is a level we never even really saw on FaZe for any consistent time period. Sure, we saw that one at Shanghai Run, which is a cool run, but even at his best when FaZe were winning everything, he wasn't this good. I think this is truly the best version of Robs we've ever seen. He's got a 1.22 rating in full buys, 19.3% multi-kill rate across the year, and the most absurd thing I saw, as a B anchor on train, he's got a 2.15 KD. What on earth is even that? Not only is he keeping himself alive, he's constantly finding the kills. And that's been the key. Consistency, event after event. Rops has been mastering it. He's added that detail. It's not just that he's able to throw every nade, make every jump, hit every shot. He's also doing it with stupendous consistency. And that's just game-breaking. Absolutely unfair. Right, before we talk about number one, which of course is a massive mystery to you all, I have an honourable mention, and that's ZywOo. It's cheeky, but he has been special on the rifles this year. He actually has more rifle kills, or AK-47, but also rifle kills, than AWP kills this year. Which isn't that surprising if you're watching the game, because you see him quite often forego the AWP, choose to play on a rifle. And with a rifle, is there a better trader and clutch player? Really? Like, mid to late round, is there anyone better? Maybe the guy at number one started making a case for it at the last event, but so far, he's been absolutely nuts. I keep making references to kind of retro CS, but this is essentially the sort of AWP hybrid like star that we used to see. Like, your superstar player could just do whatever he wanted. Your star rifler got to AWP a fairly large amount of the time, because secondary AWPing was a bigger deal about 10 years ago. Even up to 8 years ago. But ZywOo seems to be bringing it back in a crazy way. There are some absolutely insane stats from ZywOo this year, including his AK-47 rating, right, in full buys, is a 1.45. It's higher than Donk's. I just don't get how that's possible. Like, he's been that good, that effective. It does help that obviously he doesn't take so many openings. He doesn't have to die that often for his team, but it doesn't matter. Realistically, ZywOo can do everything right now. I called him last week like just the perfect hybrid, and this continues to prove it. He could easily be at number 2. Some could make a semi-compelling case for number 1 as a rifler this year. Mind-blowing. At number 1, well, he's still obliterating everyone, so we don't need to think too hard about who's going to be the number 1 rifler this year. He's the king of fragging and firepower. As an opener, as a trader, he just devastates opponents. Add on to this that he was actually insanely clutch in Astana and was set up for a few more late rounds, a few more finishes, and it's impossible to play against him. And Spirit have this sort of multi-tool rifler they can now use in almost every way. Whatever a rifler is needed to do, Donk can do it at an elite level, and Spirit can just change that look at will. They can leave him lurking or closing. They can use him as a pure entry, just battering ram. And of course, as a trader, it's hard to think of anyone better. He's got absurd stats, obviously, like 28% multi-kill rate in Astana. He's got a 0.9 KPR in playoffs this year. All of these numbers look impossible. And if you'd shown them to me 5 years ago, like you'd show me hit the stat page and told me this is a rifler for an entire year, or in this case, just 5 months, yeah, wouldn't have believed you.
I don't care, to be honest.
There would be no way these numbers were possible at the highest level. Yet here he is, time and time again, breaking the game, breaking our expectations, our understandings of what fragging is and what is possible as a fragger, no matter the context. He's got a 1.27 rating in half buys versus full buys. When he's got a Deagle or a Hero AK, he has over 100 ADR when facing a full buying team. Disgustingly filthy. Here's to Donk. But alright, if you enjoyed, leave a like. Leave a comment, tell me your thoughts on the Power 10 Rifler Edition. Let me know who you'd have included. If there's any changes you'd have made lower down the list especially, I'm sure there'll be some controversial additions, some controversial placements from myself. Sub if you want to see more content. And remember that members get access to a bunch of different stuff, including certain podcasts early, extra content, VODs from the live streams that we do. A lot of things are only for members, so be sure to join up if you want to support the channel and want to see all that good stuff. But alright, I'll see you next time. Thank you to Jade, the editor. And that's all for this one. Goodbye.